Welcome back. A lot of overtime in the early games, a lot of crazy, frenetic action in some of these games, and I tried to make sure I was taking notes on every single game and keeping track of what was going on. And then the later games, I got a chance to relax a little bit. The Minnesota-Colorado game was kind of no man's land. When it started, there were 8 that were already on. I got to look at it in the third, but we'll get to that. All right. First up, Pittsburgh in against the New York Rangers. So the Pittsburgh Penguins looking to turn around their early season. The New York Rangers looking to build on an overtime win with Lafreniere. And I don't know if you come out of tonight feeling better about the Rangers or not. So let me know, because again, Pittsburgh is becoming known as the comeback kids. But you don't want to put yourself in a position where you have to come back all the time, because eventually that doesn't work. But again, early Pens power play. The Rangers then got their turn on the power play. DeSmith denied Panarin. The shots were 5-2 Rangers at 7.5 minutes. But then at 7:39, Zucker scores from Joseph and Kapanen at 7:39. So 1-0. Rangers then get a power play. They don't score on it. But Brandon Lemieux, he scores from DiGiuseppe and Lindgren at 13:52. So DiGiuseppe's putting up some points early this year. Good period for the Rangers. Georgiev denies Gensel, and then there's a tip-in goal in the last minute. It's Tanev from Joseph and Bluger at 19:20, so it's 2-1 in favor of Pittsburgh. Second period, the Rangers get a power play. They don't score on that. The Penguins get their turn on a power play. No goal there. But there's a shorthanded 2-0 for the Rangers, and Rooney's the one that buries that shorthanded marker from K'Andre Miller and Strome at 7:20. So that tied it up. But then Kapanen scores from Malkin at 9:42. So this was a great back-and-forth game. Less than a minute later, Kreider scores from Trouba and Miller at 10:25. And then Panarin scores from Buchnevich and D'Angelo at 16:01. So for the Rangers, we got 4 goals. For Pittsburgh, we got 3. The Rangers are ahead entering the third. Or as Pittsburgh calls it, perfect. Third period, extended 4-on-4 play. Georgiev denied Tanev. DeSmith denied Kreider at the other end as the goaltenders took turns deciding who was going to try to one-up the other. Lindgren took a high stick, no call. Not only that, but he took a cross-check. Now, one of the guilty parties on this was Gensel, and there was no call. And then on the next play, they have a whistle on that play, and then on the face-off, it's Gensel that scores at 9:20 from Ceci and Marino to tie it up. So Lindgren, who was already pretty hot under the collar from the non-call, had to be a little bit hotter under the collar after the guy who should have been in the box gets the goal. So that tied it up at 4. We would go to overtime. The Rangers had their chance, narrow miss. There was a Pens 3-on-1 that missed. And then the Penguins isolated it in the Rangers zone. The Penguins got 3 line changes in while the Rangers were pinned in their own zone. Panarin was just dead out there. And Crosby's the one that takes advantage. Joseph and Rust with the assists at 2:27, and the Penguins go into New York and win 5-4 in overtime. Key win for Pittsburgh. They improved to 5-3-1. For the Rangers, they dropped to 2-4-2. 3 stars, Crosby, Miller, and Joseph. Shots were 13-10 Rangers in the first, 13-9 Rangers in the second, and then Pittsburgh takes over in the third, outshot them 16-7. Overtime, Pittsburgh outshot them 3-1. Final shots 38-34 in favor of Pittsburgh. Power plays, Pittsburgh 0 for 4. Rangers 1 for 5. DeSmith saves 30 out of 34. And Georgiev saves 33 out of 38. Like I've been saying, the save percentage doesn't always tell the story, and in this one, it didn't. Next up, Islanders and Philly. So the Islanders, learning from the other night where they had a 3-0 lead against Washington, and then they blew it, they decided to let the other team have the lead first tonight, I guess. Voracek scores from Giroux and Lawton at 3:38. The Flyers get a power play. Halfway through the period, the Islanders had managed 1 shot to 4 from the Flyers. So the Flyers were heavily outplaying them at that stage. And then it's Hayes from Van Riemsdyk and Provorov at 13:55. The Islanders then get a power play. They don't score on it. It's 2-0 for Philly after 1. So go to the second period. Eberle scores from Pelech and Nelson at 7:31, and now the shots are reversed. Halfway through the period in the second, the Islanders outshooting Philadelphia 4-1. And in fact, the Islanders outshot Philadelphia badly for the rest of the game. It was like the Islanders came out of that first period and went, oh, we better play better. And they did. And Mayfield ties it up from Leddy and Barzal at 11:46. The Islanders get a power play, didn't score on it. The Islanders had 4 opportunities tonight, unable to put it away. Third period. Early on, the Islanders do get that 4th power play. The Flyers killed it off. The shots were 4-1 for the Islanders at 5 minutes. The Flyers were stuck at 11 shots for a while. They were stuck there for a while in this one. And that's overall. Hart stopped a chance from Barzal. Ghost with a turnover, and I thought AV had to be kind of choked at what he was seeing here because there were some turnovers. Now remember, Konechny is a healthy scratch tonight. Konechny was scratched because of defensive miscues. So even though he scores a bunch of points and goals, AV's sending a message. I'm not saying Ghost gets scratched the next game, but that turnover, we'll see. Flyers pressed a bit at the half. Pulock then denied a Flyers 2-on-1. Great comeback by Pulock on that one. The Flyers pressed with 2.5 minutes left. Hart robbed Komarov, so we go to overtime because every game went to overtime. Varlamov stopped Lawton, but then the next time Lawton got a chance, he buried it at 3:16 of the overtime from Ghost to spare, so Ghost redeems himself on that one. That should cancel out the turnover. Since the turnover didn't end up in a goal anyways, no biggie. So the Flyers win this one 3-2, minus Konechny. The 3 stars, Lawton, Mayfield, and Barzal. Shots were 6 apiece in the first, 10-4 in favor of the Islanders in the second, 11-4 Islanders in the third. In the overtime, Philadelphia turns it on. They outshot them 3-1. Final shots 28-17 in favor of the Islanders. The Islanders 0 for 4 on the power play. Philadelphia only had the 1 opportunity, and they were 0 for on that. Varlamov saves 14 out of 17. Hart saves 26 out of 28, and continues to build quite a decent resume for the young goaltender. So yeah. Next up, Boston. So the Bruins and the Caps. Here's the problem. When Tuukka Rask plays against Washington, he loses. Every year you see these numbers trucked out, and people are like, it doesn't make a lot of sense. He can't be that bad against Washington. And then, yeah, he is. Washington's just very good at doing what they do against Tuukka Rask. Early chances favored the Bruins. Vanacek was fantastic in this one. Again, shots were 12-3 for the Bruins, 7.5 minutes in. Vanacek, I think, needs a raise. I think he needs a massive raise from the Capitals based on his play early. And then Backstrom scores at 18:06 because that's what happens. The Bruins outshoot the Capitals badly. They outplay them. And then a goal goes behind Rask because it's the Capitals. The Bruins get a power play. They don't score on it. And we go to the second period. Bruins pressed it about 4 minutes into that period. However, the Capitals score again. It's Trevor Van Riemsdyk who gets on the board from Dillon and Backstrom at 5:22. So Backstrom with a goal and an assist. And yeah, this is what happens when it's Tuukka Rask against the Caps. This is completely predictable. Power play for the Caps, and they score on it. And it's Wilson that scores that power play marker from Ovechkin and Zgarboza at 10:03. And then the Bruins get a power play. You have to score here. So they do. Nick Ritchie with another one. So he continues to put up points. Krejci and Bergeron with the assists at 17:32. So that makes it 3-1 after 2. It's an interesting score. It's an interesting game, but I'm still looking at this and going, well, Boston's not coming back in this. The shots were 2-0 for the Caps 3 minutes in, but at 6:03, Marchand starts to make me wonder, could this actually happen? From Pastrnak and Bergeron, so Pastrnak back in the lineup tonight, he gets an assist. And then right after that, Rask with a game saver. So, there was a power play for the Bruins. That was Marchand from McAvoy and Bergeron. I'm getting ahead of myself. The Bruins got another power play. They didn't score on that one. So we go to the last minute. Goalie pulled the whole bit. McAvoy scores from Pastrnak and Bergeron at 19:02. So there's the game tire. Again, not wanting to believe in it, right? But yeah, and then after that, the Capitals went for it immediately off the next faceoff, and Tuukka Rask saved the game. And you're going into overtime and thinking, hey, maybe Rask can fix his record again. No. There's a guy playing for the Capitals you really don't want to let get the goal in overtime. You really want to make sure he's boxed out and he doesn't have that chance. It's Ovechkin. He gets the goal from Backstrom and Karlsson at 28 seconds. So Backstrom with the goal and 2 assists tonight. Ovechkin with the goal and an assist. And yeah, Boston came back from 3-0 down. They get the point. They're 5-1-2 now. But the Caps 6-0-3. They have yet to lose in regulation. That is a rarity in the NHL these days. They deserve a lot of kudos for that. 3 stars, Ovechkin, Vanacek, and Bergeron. Shots were 19-7 in the first in favor of Boston, 15-10 Boston in the second, 9-5 Boston in the third, and in the overtime there was 1 shot. Washington got it. It's the shot that counts. Final shots 43-23 in favor of the Boston Bruins. Vanacek was fantastic. Power plays, Boston 1 for 4. Washington scored on their only power play in the game. Rask with 19 saves on 23 shots, an .826 save percentage, which that's how it works against the Caps. And Vanacek saves 40 out of 43. Just great game for Vanacek, and for the Caps. Yeah, they're number 1 in that division right now, and they're the team to beat. They proved that again today. All right, next up, a game that didn't go to overtime because Dallas wasn't very good, and I don't know how else to put this. The Carolina Hurricanes made it look easy. The first chance went to the Stars, and then Mrazek got hurt in a collision, so Reimer goes in. And I thought, okay, well, maybe if they can get pressure on Reimer, maybe they... Oh, never mind. Trocheck scores from Necas and Lawrence at 4:05. Carolina gets a power play, and they score on it. And this is a storyline tonight. Trocheck with his second in 2.5 minutes from Stahl and Svechnikov at 6:55. So Carolina's up 2-0. And at that point, I'm like, okay, so that'll pretty much do it then. The shots were 5-1 in favor of Carolina 8.5 minutes into this. So it was just overall the effort from the Stars. And I don't want to put down what Carolina did. This was a great game for Carolina, but the Stars just wasn't there. And now they get to play them again tomorrow. Think about it. They get to play him again tomorrow. McCormick then got hurt. It looked like his shoulder. It was a hit by Como. I don't know that the NHL is going to get involved. It wasn't a penalty on the play. It was one of those hits that, can you throw it? Yes. Should you throw it? Absolutely not. And it looked like McCormick's shoulder was out of place. So dislocated his shoulder. That's what it looked like to me, anyways, with the way he screamed as he was down the ice and went off the way he was holding his arm. To me, it looked dislocated. Lots of Stars hits, and then they get a power play, and in the last minute, they get another power play. But tonight, the power play was not nearly as lethal as normal. Second period, the Canes get a power play after they killed off that one for Dallas. The shots were 4-0 in favor of Carolina 6.5 minutes into the period. They get another power play, and they score on it. Svechnikov from Aho at 8:42, and then another power play marker is added immediately after. It's Dzingel scoring from Necas and Gardner at 10:21, so Marty Necas with a couple of helpers tonight, and it's 4-0. And Hudobin gets to hit the showers. Power play then for the Stars. The Canes, though, were really dominant tonight. The Stars get a late power play again. Not going anywhere. They weren't generating any shots. It just wasn't their night. Third period, power play for the Canes. The Stars then get one, and they score on it. It's Joe Pavelski that ruins the shared shutout between Mrazek and Reimer. From Klingberg and Guryanov at 9:36. But that's as close as Dallas is going to get tonight. The final score is 4-1 for Carolina. 3 stars are Trocheck, Necas, and Aho. The shots, 7-6 Carolina in the first, 13-2 Carolina in the second, and 6-3 Carolina in the third. Final shots, 26-11. Dallas managed 11 shots. You're not going to win games when you have 11 shots. Power plays, Dallas 1 for 6, and Carolina 3 for 5. Hudobin saved 12 out of 16 before he was out, and Ottinger saved all 10 shots in relief. So Ottinger's numbers are pretty good. Mrazek, he had no saves at the time that he got knocked out of the game. We have not heard how bad it is for Reimer or for Mrazek. It didn't look good. Reimer 10 saves on 11 shots for Reimer, and he gets the win. So hopefully Mrazek's okay. He collided with, I believe it was McCormick that collided with him, and then McCormick got taken out of the game. A lot of injuries tonight. Tomorrow, when I do a news video, there's going to be a lot of injury news. Don't be alarmed. This is just how this is going to work this year because of how many games we're having in such a small period. Doing the power rankings for tonight, I'm still working on it. A lot of teams played 4 games this week, and that's just going to be the standard. That being said, I need to change boards. All right, next up is Nashville and Tampa Bay. This one didn't go to overtime either. So there was a lot of overtime tonight, but thankfully not every game went to overtime because that was crazy. And the number of 3-point games this year could be very, very high. We could end up seeing a lot of them. That first board had 3 out of 4 games. This one has 2 out of 4 games that were 3-pointers. Playoffs are going to be tight. So Tampa Bay comes into this one as a team, trying to stay in the race for first in the division. Keep in mind they've played less games than Columbus, who are currently first. The shots were 1-0 Tampa 4 minutes in. Tampa Bay gets a power play. The Predators with no shots in the first half of the period. Really pacing themselves in this one. Stamkos missed a shot point blank. Predators get a power play. Becomes a 5-on-3. And Alex Killorn with a good shorthanded chance for him. And Vasilevsky was having problems with misplaying the puck outside of the net. So he came out a couple of times, a couple little misplays. A little bit, something to watch. So the Predators get a power play late, and they score on it. This has been a problem for Nashville, is the power play, so tonight it worked. Ellis scores that power play marker from Cousins and Forsberg at 17:55. But in the last minute, Tampa gets power play, and that would carry over into the second period. They don't score on that one, but then Borowiecki takes a penalty, and that gives Tampa Bay another power play. Well, they score on that one. It's Tyler Johnson with his first power play goal in a while at 3:33. And then Callan Foote adds another one from Sergachev and Point at 6:41, followed by Hedman scoring from Stamkos at 8:05. So that's a lot of goals in a very short period of time. In 4.5 minutes, it went from a 1-0 Nashville lead to 3-1 Tampa, and me kind of throwing my hands in the air going, well, that one's done, because Tampa's got a 3-1 lead. Predators get a power play. They don't score on that. Tampa then gets their turn. They score on theirs. It's Stamkos scoring from Hedman and Point at 17:27. So again, all the players you want to see scoring for Tampa, they all scored in the second period. The Bolts got another power play, and they end the second period with 4 goals. So we go to the third. Turns out that in odd-numbered periods, Tampa wasn't allowed to score tonight. Who knew? There was a power play for the Predators that succeeded. Olivier scores his first. I believe that's his first on the power play from Johansson and Josi. Johansson and Josi at 7 minutes. See, again, we got you get one with the soft J and one with the hard J. You put them next to each other, and they did this on purpose. So Johansson and Josi with the assists at 7 minutes. So they pulled the goalie with 2 minutes left, and just to make things interesting, Arvidsson scores from Granlund and Forsberg at 18:26. That made it 4-3. They would pull the goaltender again, to no avail. So Tampa Bay holds on. They win this one 4-3. They go to 4-1-1. Nashville drops to 4-4. And we'll see. Carolina's 4-1 and Dallas is 4-1. Forgot to throw that in at the end of that one. So yeah, 3 stars in this one. Hedman, Stamkos, and Rene. Rene, other than the second period, didn't allow a goal. So that's 2 out of 3 periods he didn't allow a goal. Not too shabby. Shots were 8-6 Tampa in the first, 15-11 Tampa in the second, and 10-9 Tampa in the third. Final shots 33-26 for the Lightning. Power plays, Nashville goes 2 for 5, so you can take that as a positive from this game. Tampa Bay 2 for 7. Rene 29 saves on 33 shots. Vasilevsky 23 saves on 26 shots. So yeah, that game turned out kind of the way we might have expected. Next up, Florida. So the Panthers go into Detroit, and I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this straight out. I know Detroit's record is miserable, and when I do the power rankings later, it's heartbreaking because the results tell me that they are where they are, but I swear they're playing better. I swear they're playing better than they did last year, and I don't have anything to show for it right now other than me saying it. Early power play for the Panthers, and it clicks. Barkov with the goal from Huberdeau and Ekblad at 3:06. The Wings got a power play after that. They didn't score on it. But before the period's out, the Wings do get on the board. It's Mantha first from Mesnikov and Hirose at 15:02. And then Bertuzzi scores from Stetcher and Stahl at 16:59. So that makes it 2-1. In the last minute, though, the Panthers get a power play. So worst case scenario is that you allow a goal right in that last second. And they did. It's Yandel with his 101st goal in his career on the power play from Hornquist and Barkov at 19:59, and it went in with 0.6 seconds left in the period. So that tied it up, and then things kind of settled down after that. Both goalies played well, and everything just settles right down. The Panthers had an early power play. The Wings got one as well. Yandel took 2 straight penalties, so that's problematic, but Detroit didn't score on either of the power plays. They got a power play late as well. So the Wings had plenty of power play opportunities in that second period, could not get any of them to score. And that might be one of the storylines out of tonight. Third period, it starts with a minute and a half of power play time for the Wings. Nothing. Juice had a chance that missed high. Barkov and Hirose then collided. Barkov got the worst of that, which you wouldn't think that would happen when you look at the size of those two guys, but yeah. Brome was close to his first, but it was saved. Brome will get that first. It's going to happen. And they announced around this point that Tyler Bertuzzi, who got hurt in this game, wasn't coming back. Upper body injury. A lot of injuries tonight. So, again, tomorrow there'll be a news video, and any of them that are long-term will get covered, and there could be a few that are. Mantha was in alone and shot wide. So we go to overtime. In the overtime, Duclair had a breakaway that was stopped. Then you got to get the puck out. But instead, there's a turnover. Duclair gets it over to Heponiemi, and at 2:45, the first goal of Heponiemi's career is an overtime winner to get Florida to 4-0-1 and to drop Detroit to 2-5-2. So Detroit's won 2 of their first 9 games, and it's too bad because they've played relatively well. Shots we'll get to. 3 stars were Heponiemi, Barkov, and Mantha. Shots were 12-11 Detroit in the first, 10-9 Florida in the second, 5-3 Detroit in the third. In the overtime, 2-1 in favor of the Panthers. Final shots 27-26 for Detroit. Power plays, Florida goes 2 for 3. That's your Achilles heel tonight if you're Detroit. Detroit went 0 for 4. So they allowed a 3-on-3 goal tonight, and they allowed 2 power play goals. They didn't allow anything 5-on-5. There are positives to take out of this if you're a Detroit fan right now, because they have to play Florida again tomorrow. Bobrovsky saved 25 out of 27. Greiss saved 23 out of 26. It was important for Bobrovsky to have a bounce-back game. I assume they go with Drieger tomorrow. We'll see what they do, and we'll see if this is a sign that Bobrovsky's ready to start getting his numbers back up to where they're expected to be. All right, next up, Calgary and Montreal. These teams don't like each other, and I know saying something that controversial is going to be tough, but stay with me. They really don't like each other. And tonight, there's a lot of penalties and power plays, and Brian Burke had his opinion on some of the power plays that were going on in these games tonight. It's early in the season. This is what kind of happens. Usually the first month of the season, you see a ton, and then you see less, and then you see less as we get closer to the playoffs. It's just because all these games are division rival games, they feel more important. The power plays feel more important. So there is a power play to start this game, basically near the start anyways, for the Flames, and they score on it. Johnny Gaudreau from Lindholm and Tkachuk at 3:34. This means that in every game Calgary's played, their power play has scored. The Flames tried to strike again, and I thought it was a very good start for Calgary. It didn't really stay this way, but that's okay because Markstrom was dialed in. As a Flames fan, you now see how things worked for Vancouver last year. You get a lead, and then Markstrom's got it. Perry started some stuff in this game. Perry is known for that, for being the one that maybe gives a little bit of an elbow after the whistle, maybe that extra face wash that the guy doesn't really want. Flames get a power play. Last minute, though, there's a push by the Habs, and then Mangiapane kind of lost his mind, got up and punched. I think it was Drouin punched in the face a couple of times. The interesting thing is, no punches were thrown back in his direction. So I like that ability to hold back and say, you know what? Now we'll let him take the penalty. Retaliating might feel good at the time, but take the power play. So we go to the second period. Habs pressured around the 5-minute mark. They get a power play as well. Things go 4-on-4 for 12 seconds. Then Calgary gets a power play for 1:48. Here's the interesting thing. I think I counted 3 times tonight where Tyler Toffoli was called Ryder. Michael Ryder for the Montreal Canadiens wore 73. Toffoli wears 73. 73, right? Not 71. Anyways, the resemblance is there between Michael Ryder and Tyler Toffoli, but they're not the same person. So as much as I enjoy the fact that the announcers are calling him by the wrong name, that they're calling him Ryder, and both of them, I swear I heard both of them do it, he's still, no matter how much you might want to say it, he's not, and Michael Ryder was one of my favorite players. I really like Michael Ryder. So Toffoli goes in. It's penalty for him. Penalty parade. At that point, I'm going to put penalty parade and just forget it. The Flames got another power play after I said I was going to forget it. Solid penalty kill for the Montreal Canadiens, though. And then they had another one. The Habs got their turn because it was their turn. And this is something I'll agree with Burke on, that yes, if they called 3 penalties on one team, then they look for the even up call. They are looking for penalties. Nordstrom then had his skate shatter. I believe it was a shot by Shea Weber that shattered it, where the blade flew up and pieces of plastic were all over the ice. And then Nordstrom had to kind of push himself off the ice with one skate. It's always entertaining when that happens, but it's not often. It's usually they just drop the blade, not that the skate has been exploded. So we go to the third period, still a 1-0 lead for Calgary. And Montreal controlled most of that period. The Habs get a power play in that third period, and put up here Markstrom's trying to steal one, because he was. Power play for the Flames. Dano and Gallagher then had chances where Markstrom simply robbed them. Goaltender gets pulled with 1 minute and 50 seconds left. They called a timeout with 1:03 left. But in the end, it's Backlund getting the empty netter from Lindholm at 19:28. So that's the second assist for Lindholm on the night. And Calgary beats Montreal 2-0. This is Montreal's first loss in regulation. They're now 5-1-2. Calgary's 3-3-1. And the North Division's just as tight as we had all expected it to be. 3 stars are Markstrom, Allen, and Gaudreau, as Jake Allen was pretty darn good too. Shots in the first were 16-12 Calgary. Second, 15-10 for Montreal, 12-10 Calgary in the third. Final shots, 37-33 in favor of the Habs. Like they were saying, if not for the goaltending performances in this game, the score could have been 6-5. Power plays, Calgary 1 for 6, Montreal 0 for 5. Markstrom saved all 37 shots for his 7th career shutout. And Jake Allen, 31 saves on 32 shots. I'm always impressed with Markstrom getting shutouts now because it took him so long to get his first. I'm so happy to see him getting shutouts now. So, all right. Next up, Toronto and Edmonton. So, I'm wearing the Edmonton. They wore the reverse retros tonight, and I thought, all right, whoever wins this reverse retro battle, the first one of the season, I need to wear that reverse retro winner. So, it would have been Toronto if they'd won, but here we are. So, yeah, reverse retro night. Anderson saved, but there's a penalty shot comes out of that. Archibald, I believe it was, took the penalty shot. And it was Ennis. Ennis takes a penalty shot after letting to glove the puck in the crease and push it to his goaltender. You can't do that. Referee saw it right away. And Ennis flat out missed. It was a shooting gallery in the first half of that period. And when you get in those games, and North teams seem to get into these games where it's a lot of fun. I don't know if this is going to tighten up as the season goes along. The Calgary-Montreal result would tell you probably, but these guys didn't get the memo. Cahoon scores from Draisaitl at 11:27. And then at 17:46, William Nylander, who breaks a goal-scoring drought, he scores from Tavares and Mikheyev at 17:46. But exactly 2 minutes later, it's Archibald with a goal from McDavid and Ennis at 19:46. So it's 2-1 Edmonton after 1. We're going to the second period. Oilers get a power play. They score on it. It's McDavid with the power play marker for Barrie. McDavid is starting his McDavidness. This is, he's starting to show again why, he's the best player in the league right now, and that's just games like tonight that show that. Matthews, however, scores from Marner and Muzzin at 8:07. So less than 2 minutes later, Toronto answered. Draisaitl takes a penalty. The Leafs go to the power play. Draisaitl didn't agree with that penalty, I might add. And then Hyman scored on the power play from Tavares and Lehtinen at 9:16. So Lehtinen with his first point in the National Hockey League, and that ties things up. We then get a power play for the Oilers. Anderson robbed McDavid on that play. Yes, McDavid could have had more goals than he did. And both teams had prime chances. The skill on display tonight between Toronto and Edmonton, it's a fantastic thing to watch. I'm so happy we get to see these teams against each other so much this year. It's great. Third period, Yamamoto had a chance to miss high. Nurse and Barrie were paired together because Bear gets hurt in this game. I didn't see exactly what it was. We don't know how long he's out. There's a lot of injuries. I didn't even mention Letang, and Letang got hurt tonight too. Power play then for the Leafs. Good penalty kill and some good saves from Koskinen for the Oilers. Koskinen had a very good game considering he plays all of them. 10th start in a row this season. Anderson then denied Archibald. We go to overtime. Koskinen with the denial on Nylander in overtime, and then the Oilers get the winner. It's McDavid with a highlight reel goal from Draisaitl and Barrie at 42 seconds. So Barrie with a couple of helpers apparently can score against Toronto, and they win it 4-3 in overtime to go to 4-6. And Toronto's record is 7-2-1. And I think Edmonton's better than that 4-6 record. We'll see over the next couple of weeks whether they are, but I think they are. 3 stars: McDavid, Matthews, and Draisaitl. Or as Rogers would call it, money, money, and money, because those are the guys that people are tuning in to watch, and they were the stars of the game, so people should return to watch the next one. Shots were 13-9 for Edmonton in the first, 11-10 Edmonton in the second. Toronto outshot Edmonton 9-6 in the third, and in overtime both teams got one shot, Edmonton with the one that mattered. Final shots 31-29 Oilers. Power plays, both teams go 1 for 2. Kind of surprised at how competitive this was. We only had 4 power plays altogether. Anderson saves 27 out of 31. Koskinen saved 26 out of 29. And there you go. The Oilers come through and they stay in this, because if they'd lost this in regulation to drop to 3-7, you're already in a bad spot with 46 games left. But hey, let's go ahead and change boards. All right, this board, no overtime, none. So because I was getting worried at that point, I was like, are we gonna get overtime in all of them? No. Colorado tonight came out ready. This is an Avs team that is now rounding into form as a contender, and look out. And it starts with O'Connor from Girard and Makar at 3 minutes and 2 seconds. The shots were 3-0 Avs at 5 minutes. However, Matt Dumba, who would later get hurt in this game and exit, we don't know how bad off he is, he scores from Brodin and Greenway at 6:49. Just before the end of the period, though, on a power play, Colorado, because their power play is very good, Donskoy scores from Saad and Burakovsky at 19:43. So 2-1 Colorado after one. And then in the second period, Mikko Rantanen does it again. 7 straight games with a goal. McKinnon and Landeskog draw the assists at 3:07. So that line is lethal. And that should surprise no one. One of the best lines in the NHL is once again one of the best lines in the NHL. Power play for the Wild. The Avs got their power play. And then they got another one late. And there were too many power plays being given up by Minnesota in this game. So it was 3-1 after 2. Third period, solid defense by the young Avalanche team. And I think that's something that's important to remember. They were without Johnson. They've just traded Cole. Basically anybody with more than, say, 3 games of experience in the NHL has either been injured or traded or waived. It's all a bunch of teenagers. And they did pretty well tonight for a bunch of kids. I'm overstating it, but it is the young blue line. Foligno had a chance, but he ran out of gas on that. Greenway takes a penalty. The Avs get their 5th power play. The Wild then get their 2nd. So that's telling you who had the puck more and who was pressuring more. The one team has 5 power plays, and the other one has 2. Bonino had a chance that went high. Grubauer stopped a chance from Dumba, so Dumba got hurt later on. Saad then gets a goal from McKinnon and Rantanen at 12:17, and that's where I put Avs rounding into form, because that makes it 4-1. And then it's power play number 6 for the Avalanche, and they score on it. JT Compher from Girard and Burakovsky at 14:55. And then, just because why not, the Wild get their 3rd power play of the game, so this should be an 0 for 3. That wasn't updated at the time that I looked at the game score. 1:09 left. Wild get a power play. Doesn't score. Final score is 5-1 Colorado. Your 3 stars, Rantanen, McKinnon, and Saad. Rantanen's pretty darn good. Shots, 14-6 Colorado in the first, 12-10 Colorado in the second, 7-4 Colorado in the third. Final shots, 33-20 for the Avs. Power plays, Colorado 2 for 6, Minnesota 0 for 2. Grubauer 19 saves on 20 shots. He played very well. Kakkonen saved 28 out of 33. So, and then you get to play again tomorrow. So, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, they're playing again tomorrow. Next up, St. Louis and the Ducks. And, okay, so when this game starts, it's game 10, right? So there's 8 games on in the East. That one's already going into the second period. This game's getting started. And I look at the app on the phone, and I'm like, wait, it's 2-0 already? So I'm writing down the second goal, and then I look down, and I'm like, wait, it's 3-0? So, Kyrou from Shen and Krug at 20 seconds. Sanford from Perron and Pareko at 57 seconds. And then Kyrou from Shen and Schwartz at 2 minutes and 6 seconds. So Arizona, if you need any luck with scoring on Gibson, ask them what they did. So Kyrou with 2 goals right away. Kairou's off to an amazing start to the season, and he's really taking that next step. He has really eclipsed Robert Thomas. I'd kind of expected Thomas to do what Kairou's doing. Then there's a power play for the Blues, just what they needed. The Ducks get a power play, they don't score on it, and then it's Max Jones with his first of the year from Raquel and Getzlaff at 16:59 to make it 3-1. The Ducks get a power play late. Second period, Miller robbed Falk. It was one of those plays where Falk skated away, shaking his head and smiling like he didn't know how that went in, how that didn't go in. Sanford then had a prime chance. Miller denied Schwartz, and then it's Perron from O'Reilly at 7 minutes and 30 seconds. The Blues were just better tonight. This was very lopsided. This wasn't right. The Ducks pressed with 4 minutes left. Parayko had a chance that went high, and in the last minute there was another press for the Ducks, but it's not really going anywhere. A lot of these pressing plays that the Ducks had just didn't generate enough good opportunities. It's third period. Early on, it's Clifford scoring from Sundqvist at 2:59, so that made it 5-1. Power play for the Blues, and this is where Ryan Miller again gets my respect, and it goes back to when he was in Vancouver. No matter what the score is, no matter how poor the team in front of him is playing, he doesn't stop. He doesn't give up. He is still going to make highlight reel saves, even if the game is lost. And I have tremendous respect for Ryan Miller. It is the reason why I have a Ryan Miller jersey for Anaheim, Buffalo, Vancouver, and St. Louis. I respect him for the fact that he never quits. Because there are goalies who, score like 7-1, and then the 8th goes in, and you go, yeah, well, you can blame him because, the game's already lost. Not Miller. Then there's a crossbar for Sanford, and then Dunn scores on the power play from Sanford and Kyrou at 5:17. So based on his play tonight, Vince Dunn got the message from being sat out, probably from his name showing up in the rumor mill. Said, all right, I can do better, I can do better, I can do better. Don't trade me, I can do better. And based on tonight, he did better. Power play then for the Ducks, but they're not going to score 5 on 1 power play, so 6-1. Wow. 3 stars, Kyrou, Falk, and Lundestrom. So Lundestrom has 2 shots, 1 hit, and played 15 minutes and 20 seconds. It's a 6-1 game. Anyways, so we're just going to have a moment with that. And people wonder, why doesn't he always track 3 stars? This is it. I'm only going to do the 3 stars on nights where there's a lot of games and I can't take a bunch of notes. So I'll do the 3 stars for reasons like this. That we can say, what? And then that will explain on nights I don't do the 3 stars why I only do it on nights where there's 11 plus games. I'm setting it as 11 being the number. Shots were 11-9 in favor of St. Louis in the first, 12-10 St. Louis in the second, 7-5 St. Louis in the third. Final shots 30-24. But from what I saw of the game, I really thought St. Louis was dominant. Power play, St. Louis 1 for 2, Anaheim 0 for 3, Binnington saves 23 out of 24, Gibson saved 3 out of 6. He comes out. Miller saved 21 out of 24. So kudos to Ryan Miller for being put into a really bad situation and just making the best of it. All right, last game, Vancouver and Winnipeg. So coming into tonight, Hellebuck was 7-0-1 in his career against Vancouver. Yep, I threw that on the board. And it was funny because I put up here so after the first whistle, I put 17 seconds in, Jets not ahead yet. So I was like, all right, when the Jets start scoring and they're winning, then I'm going to, track when it happens. It didn't. Besser scores from Edler and Pettersson at 29 seconds. I don't understand why in between the first and second period there was talk about how Hellebuck's been playing and they played this goal and the second goal of the period because I don't know what he's supposed to do on either of those pucks. Besser just beat him. And of course I went upstairs and did the Hulk Hogan pose and yelled Brock Besser because what I do. Demko made a save on a Schmidt turnover. Ehlers had a chance to deflect it out, and then Appleton scores from Lowry at 2 minutes and 3 seconds. The Canucks get a power play. However, it doesn't score, and the Jets were ahead in shots 8-2, 7 minutes in. And so I'm having this feeling of familiarity with this game, a familiarity I don't really like. Alakazam. All right, so Demko saved a chance on a Schmidt turnover. Ehlers had a chance deflecting out. Then Appleton scores 2:03. Okay, I've already done that part. Just I realized I hadn't done this. And I thought, wait, Where's my phone? So I had to get my wife in to get it. So been a few minutes. So yeah, power play for the Canucks. Shots are 8-2. I know you're getting a feeling of deja vu. At least I realized what I was doing here. So again, I'm getting this feeling of, okay, so the Canucks are, this is a Jets game. Until Höglander scores on the fourth shot from Horvat and Pearson at 8:17. And again, I don't see how Hellebuyck could have saved that. I just don't. So how they were showing, well, I still believe in Hellebuyck. I think it was Kelly Rudy talking, well, I still believe in Hellebuyck. But in this play, and I'm thinking, no, neither of those goals are on him. The Jets pressured with 7 minutes left. It looked like this was going to be a very busy night for Demko. That Demko was going to be facing 35, 40, 45 shots. And I was going to be standing here saying, again, they're just allowing too many shots. Nope. Demko denied Kopp late in that period. We go to the second with the Canucks ahead 2-1. And again, I'm feeling somewhat nervous because I've kind of seen this before. Horvat takes a penalty. The Jets get a power play. However, Schmidt gets a good shorthanded chance. Didn't go in, but a good shorthanded chance for Nate Schmidt. There was one shot on that power play, but it looked dangerous. What we didn't know is it was the only power play the Jets were going to get. We thought they were getting one, and then they didn't. And we'll get to that in the third period. Canuck fans know what I'm talking about, and Jets fans probably do too. The reaction was probably very opposite between the two fan bases. Hellebuyck stopped a shot, the Canucks pressed, and then McEwen scores his first of the year from Miller and Ben at 6:58. So JT Miller continues his hot streak. Pettersson, of course, with the assist in the first period. Horvat with another point. Like all the guys you want to see on the board if you're a Canucks fan, they're there. And there's Jordy Ben with his third assist of the season. Excellent. Schmidt then nearly gave one back to the Jets. Almost had an own goal right after. Demko's smart on that one. The Jets, keep in mind, coming into tonight, had 3 wins when they were trailing 3-1. So when Vancouver makes it 3-1, my brain goes, all right, here it comes. Because you're waiting for it. You've seen this 3 times this year, right? Hellebuyck snagged a Pettersson shot. Canucks get a power play. It had 2 shots. And Lowry had a shorthanded break that went wide. And, you know, who knows if he'd been able to corral that, what might have happened. Could have been that momentum shift, but you never really got that. Pettersson then had a break that was saved, as both goaltenders were excellent tonight. Third period, Hellebuyck denied Miller. The Canucks ended up hitting the post. And it's right about here that I thought, okay, the Canucks are going to bring this home. This is a different game. This was a different team. From 2-5 until 5-5, something has really changed. Those 3 games against Ottawa, they got something going here. Canucks go back to the power play, and then it looked like the Canucks took 2 penalties on the same play. So there's a power play coming, and then another arm goes up, and then when the Jets touch the puck, you know, I'm like, oh, God, no, because I thought 5-on-3. But the lucky thing for the Canucks and for Canuck fans was it was actually a 4-on-4. Both teams take a penalty instead of the Jets getting a power play, and so it's a 4-on-4. Pettersson and Besser were both denied. Besser had an excellent game again. Goalie gets pulled with 2.5 minutes left, and Brock Besser throws it in the empty net at 17:59, and that makes it 4-1 for the Vancouver Canucks. They went into Winnipeg and they won. This is a building they don't win in. And for people who want to say, and I'm sure there will be people that believe this, that the Canucks win tonight in part because you don't have fans in attendance. I'm not going to deny that that's not part of it. An interesting thing was that coming into today, home teams have a 62% winning percentage, whereas in normal seasons it's 53 or 54%. So home ice has actually been more important this year than normal, and it might be because of the conditions road teams are going through, comparatively speaking, with the home teams. But this was a very important win for Vancouver, who now move on to Montreal. They have to prove they can beat Montreal. This is all for nothing if they end up going to Montreal and laying an egg again, so we'll see. And for Winnipeg, things are going to get really tough for them this coming week too. So it is a brutal schedule. There's going to be a ton of injuries, and it's just going to continue to be more and more brutal, and there's going to be more and more injuries. 3 stars in this one: Besser, Demko, and Hellebuyck. The shots were 13-8 in favor of the Jets in the first, 15-5 Vancouver in the second, 16-6 Vancouver in the third. This is the best, most complete game Vancouver's played against Winnipeg in years. Final shots 39-24 in favor of the Canucks. Power plays 0-3 for Vancouver, 0-1 for Winnipeg. Demko saved 23 out of 24, continues his solid run. His save percentage is up. His win-loss record is better. And Hellebuyck, 35 saves on 38 shots. So we'll see over the next week, I'd say, how real this is with the Canucks and how far they might go. But tonight was encouraging. So, all right, I still have the power rankings to do, and I have to do tomorrow's preview as well. So stay tuned for both of those. But for now, I'm done. Let me know your thoughts on tonight's games in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And hey, thank you guys so much for all your support. I'll talk to you again soon.